go. Hello, class. Emily Merkert here with Danny Hickman, who is the most famous high school teacher in Wimberley. From the parents' perspective and the children's perspective, everybody loves Danny. So we're honored to be here with him today, and he's got some great insight on the bilingual education program that happened whenever he was growing up. In the late 60s to early 70s is the era that we'll concentrate on. And then I'm going to ask you about what you think about it now in today's society. Okay. So let's start first with just finding out the area that you grew up in. What was the economy like?
Well, it was a rural town. The town was El Campo. There was, 10,000 people in the town. And we were in between Houston and Victoria, almost halfway. So we're in that kind of coastal area. It was basically a cotton farming, rice farming area. And the businesses that were in the town were basically there just to sustain whatever the needs of the town were,
What kind of culture did you see there?
Well, it was pretty much a farming type, country, a little country town. There was a very large Czech population.
Okay.
In fact, it was so prevalent that we even had a Czech newspaper printed in Czechoslovakia.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
We had both newspapers.
Yeah. So did you have, what did you see in the schools, in your secondary school when you were growing up? And you mentioned something spectacular about junior high and what you remember.
Oh, well, yeah. We really didn't have any sort of, I don't think bilingual education existed at that time. I mean, I know it didn't in my school. And one thing that would happen was, of course, we had the, of course, we just called them Mexicans back then. That was an appropriate term.
Right.
And they would, oftentimes, a lot of them would have to leave school at a certain point in the year and go with their family, move temporarily to a different state to like pick lettuce or pick cotton or do something in that ag business, and they would just miss out on the rest of the school. And so when they would return, they would be behind, and there wasn't a system in place to catch them up.
Right.
They were just behind. And they started off again, and if they couldn't make it at that level, they'd go down a level. So it wasn't uncommon to be in, to have a couple of, and it seemed like it was usually the guys. I don't know what the girl, maybe the girls didn't have to do it or whatever.
Maybe it was the culture.
There was it wasn't uncommon to have guys that would be in their teens, up to 15, 16 in junior high school. I can even remember before that having some pretty old guys.
Right.
Of course, we thought they were real old in 5th grade when they were, 16 or so probably.
Right, a little bit of man hair
Yeah.
going on.
Oh, yeah.
So you got in junior high, which ranges from 11 to 14.
Yeah, of course, back then it was just 7th and 8th. That was junior high.
Okay.
6th grade, so school.
So you're looking at the late 60s at this time.
Well, let's see. I graduated in 68, so, mid-60s.
Okay.
Earlier 60s, yeah.
And from your experience, did you feel like, you said it was basically English immersion.
Oh, yeah.
There was no conditioning towards helping them with the second language because at that time.
No. Sometimes, I think sometimes a teacher might ask someone to sit next to one of these students occasionally, sometimes that racial barrier was pretty strong, and you didn't cross it. I never minded. I always liked them, had fun with them, and everything, and so I would do that sometimes. By the time I hit junior high school, though, I was all in what we called back then. We didn't have pre-AP or AP. They called it accelerated classes.
Okay.
And so I was in all accelerated classes, and you were with that group. Say there was 30 of us, and you just moved every class together. You didn't change, and interact with other
Okay.
with other students and stuff. You had the same kids in every class all the way through. And so, by junior high, we were kind of, wouldn't really around those folks that much.
What do you think about college? What was it like for you when you were?
There was
There was no
nothing.
their education. They did not advance up to college at that point.
Well,
do you think, or did you?
Some of them did.
Some of them did. Very few.
Yes. And there were those. Also, there was those Hispanic kids that were not tied to the agriculture business. Their parents weren't in that, and they were more fluent English speakers. They spoke English just as well as anyone else. It wasn't just like, well, if you're Mexican, you don't speak English well at all, and you go do farm work. It was both ways.
Okay. What do you think bilingual education has evolved in now? You being a Spanish teacher, how many years have you been teaching Spanish?
Well, since 1975, but I took a break for a while, did some other work. But I've probably been in the classroom about 18 years or so, something like that.
Is there any support now in the high school currently that you see?
Yes. Well, it's with ESL in high school.
Okay.
I believe. Of course, me teaching Spanish, I'm kind of like out of the loop with that stuff. But occasionally, what I see now as far as ESL goes is we get students that come straight from Mexico to high school. Sometimes they haven't even really been in school before, and then some of them will say be older than the norm for that particular grade level. And we have a couple of ladies who will go with those kids to class, Spanish-speaking ladies.
Almost like an inclusion.
Exactly. Now, in some classes they don't need it, like they would come to Spanish with them, Of course, because a lot of my lectures in English because of it's just the way that it is. It just doesn't work the other way. And so they thought that it would be necessary for them to come with them in my school, in my class. And after a while, they saw it wasn't necessary, and the guys got along just fine with me and everything. And we were, I would speak to Spanish to those guys, like I'd explain it in English to the average students, to my other students, to the mainline students, and then I'd say, hey, Tom, lo tiene bien, ¿me entiendes? Oh, yeah, sí, no problema.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't even know, is there such a thing as bilingual in high school? I don't even know that there is, I feel like that, in my idea, is that it's more of a, elementary level. And then by the time they get to high school, they're expected to
exit the program already by the time that they're in high school.
Yes.
So more focus. I don't know if I would say that more focus is on the elementary, but maybe it is.
I sure think it is. We don't have it at high school.
Okay.
And I taught junior high school for a while in Lumen, and that's a heavy Hispanic community here, and we didn't have it there in junior high as well.
So what do you foresee ahead of us? Or what would you like to see or foresee that maybe we'll start recognizing amenities and accommodations?
Well, we better do something, because there's obviously more and more people are moving in from Mexico. And of course, with us here in the South, when we say bilingual, we just automatically think Spanish, But it's so, that's so limiting. That's so not true. There's you go to Austin and there's they've got kids that speak Vietnamese, Chinese, the Indian languages, all kind of things. And here, what I see the biggest problem is money.
Right.
If they're unwilling to let go of the funds to start, educating teachers, in this manner, plus having the money to put the programs in effect, we're not going to have very good results.
I agree. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Danny Hickman.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Hey, class, study hard, and do your homework, and do what your parents tell you.
All right.